Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. In this video, I want to break down how this new missile operator mode works and what my thoughts are on this new system. As always, huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you guys so much for the support. And if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. So alongside all of the major rebalancing for ships, weapons and everything else, Alpha 3.14 has introduced the new missile operator mode. Now this system separates missiles from the rest of the ship weapons, requiring players to toggle between each depending on what they want to use. It also refines how missiles work, their behaviors, makes them more consistent, and just improves the overall missile and torpedo gameplay. Now the default button to toggle between main weapons and the missile operator mode is the middle mouse button. Of course, any of the bindings I speak of can be bound to whatever you want them to be bound to. I have most of mine on my HOTAS. These are just the default for the keyboard and mouse. Now once you've toggled over to the missile operator mode, it will alter the relevant section on the HUD, showing you the missiles that you have available on the right hand side. Now to cycle through the missiles you have equipped, you can press the right mouse button. You do have the option to cycle forwards or backwards depending on how you have these bound, which will be very useful for larger ships, especially ones with multiple missile racks, but the selected missile is prominent on the HUD with the previous and next class also visible above and below, so you can see what you will be cycling to next. Now some things to consider: each missile rack will only be able to stock one model of missile, which means you will only be able to lock and fire one kind of missile class at a time, so either your ignites or your rattlers and so on and so forth. Also, you can actually set how many missiles you want to fire in a burst. I assume it is limited to how many you have on that rack, but by pressing the G key, this will increase the amount of missiles, and then if you press the left Alt and G, it will reset that selected amount back to 1. There is a bind to allow you to decrease the amount, but that is currently unbound by default. Now once you have selected the missile you want, you'll see this little bar increase quite quickly, which is to indicate that the missile is armed, and once armed it's ready to fire. Obviously if you are selecting multiple missiles to be fired in a burst, you'll need them all to be armed. Now one great new addition to this system is you have the ability to dumbfire any missile, which is done by just simply firing the missile using the default fire button, which I believe is the left mouse button. Now this will fire the missile in the direction that you were facing at the time of launching. Having this option to dumbfire missiles will be great to use against larger targets or larger ships, or against ground targets, as once they are released they will just travel along the same vector provided nothing intercepts them. Now of course dumbfiring missiles do mean that the missiles don't lock or track the target. For that you will need to attain a lock, a process that is no longer binary in 3.14. Basically, the longer that you let the missile acquire the target or lock onto the target, the better the lock becomes, and the harder the missile will be to spoof. Now I do love how they have incorporated this into the system. It gives the players a lot more options on what they want to do. So do you dumbfire because you're confident you can hit the target without a lock? Do you try and go full lock and better your chances of a hit? Or do you try and get as much of a lock as possible due to, say, time constraints and hope that they don't spoof it? There is a lot more choice with plenty of variables for each option. So as I say, the lock quality is determined by how long you choose to lock the target, and this is indicated by the green reticle that rotates around your targeted ship, providing a clear indication of how well you have locked them. Once you have the amount of lock that you want, you press the fire button and it launches the missile. Now there are cooldowns for the missiles firing. Once you have launched a missile, you'll need to wait a few seconds before firing again. This is highlighted by the horizontal bars here, and this is something that will likely be altered over time to create a bit more balance and variety between missile behaviors, so we won't delve into the timings so much right now. Now one of the other major changes which plays a massive role in the missile and torpedo gameplay is that the missiles have been converted to use the IFCS system, or Intelligent Flight Control System, which is exactly what the ships use. This means the missiles will fly more consistently, they're easier to balance and tweak, as well as having their tracking systems updated to be more accurate to the signatures that they are tracking. Be that IR, which is heat, EM being electromagnetics, or CS, which is cross-section. Another big change to the missiles are that they have finite fuel. So missiles now have limited fuel, and so if they don't reach their target by the time the fuel runs out, then they have failed and don't strike. Now this really plays into the counter-missile gameplay, so avoiding missiles using maneuvers or countermeasures will actually be viable for 3.14, and I expect there will be many tactics to learn to find the best methods, which over time, as they balance and tweak the different types of missiles and their tracking abilities, may differ somewhat in the tactics, which I am very excited to test out and learn, and then pass on to my org and you guys. Now, one of my favourite features of this new missile operator mode is it allows the expansion for multicrew, basically creating the option to have a co-pilot take control of the missiles while the pilot uses their ship weapons or just concentrates on flying. Now this will create more reason to have a second crew member, as having individual players taking control of both the ship, weapons or missiles will drastically enhance that ship's effectiveness in combat, allowing them to concentrate completely on their task rather than trying to multitask. So that is the missile operator mode, and those are the changes to missiles. The balancing of missiles is still ongoing, as I say, so I won't delve into any of the values just yet, but this new overhaul has really brought in a more defined use for missiles, as well as making them much more formidable. Missiles are limited but devastating, and when used correctly, they can really turn the tide of a battle. I will be spending more time practicing with missiles and torpedoes to try and gather more knowledge and understanding of how they work. I also plan to jump into 3.14 when it goes live with my org to further test these, putting them through the paces, and hopefully learn some best practices on when to use missiles, when not to use missiles, and how to avoid them. Once I've found these answers, I will be sure to share them with you, but with that said, that is the end of this video. I do hope you found it informative and useful. If so, hit that thumbs up if you don't mind, does the channel a big favour, and do consider hitting that subscribe button as well. Tick the notification bell if you would like to be notified when my videos go live, and if you have any questions regarding Star Citizen, whether you're new or old to the game, or you just want to hang out with me and my community, then do join me over on twitch.tv/supermacbrothers Ryan. You are all more than welcome. Thanks again to my patrons and channel members for your continued support. It is truly appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.